When you're eyeballing a gaming laptop, the biggest question isn't just how fast is it, but will it actually fit into the way I play and work? I've spent the last few weeks setting up the MSI GF63 thin the way most buyers would, plugging it into a 144Hz monitor, running a few recent titles, and swapping between a spreadsheet and a live stream. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. What you'll hear in this review is the kind of practical insight that separates a purchase that feels right from one you'll regret the moment you open the box. Thin gaming laptops sit in a sweet spot between the bulky, desktop replacement beasts and the ultra-portable notebooks that can't keep up with today's games. In this segment, you usually trade off raw GPU horsepower for a lighter chassis, a quieter fan profile, and a battery that can survive a commute. The GF63 aims to hit that balance with a 15.6-inch 144Hz IPS panel, an 11th Gen i5 14400H, 32GB of RAM, a 1TB PCIe SSD, and an RTX 3050. On paper that looks like a solid mid-range machine, but the real question is how those parts behave together when you're actually gaming, editing, or just browsing. If you primarily game at 1080p and care about smooth motion, the 144Hz screen paired with the RTX 3050 delivers exactly that. I ran titles like Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Apex Legends on medium-high settings, and both consistently hit the 100+ FPS range, letting the monitor's refresh rate shine. The 32GB of DDR4 RAM means you never feel the slowdown when you have Discord, Chrome, and a game running side by side. The 1TB NVMe drive loads worlds in seconds, and because it's a single chip you get that instant feel that's hard to find on older laptops with a 256GB SATA drive. For creators who dabble in video editing or 3D modeling, the extra RAM and fast storage cut render queue times in half compared to a typical 8GB per 512GB combo. And the Wi-Fi 6 module handles online matches with virtually no lag spikes, even on a crowded network. But the GF63 isn't a free-for-all ticket to ultra settings. The RTX 3050, while competent, still bows out when you try to push ray tracing or run the newest AAA titles on ultra. In Cyberpunk 2077, the frame count drops into the 40-50 FPS range on medium, which is respectable but not the buttery smooth experience you'd get from a higher-tier GPU. The thin chassis also means the cooling system has to work harder. Under sustained load the fans spin up noticeably and the laptop can get warm to the touch on the palm rest. In a real-world scenario, say, an hour-long marathon session of Valorant, the temperature stays manageable, but if you plan to render 4K video or keep the machine in a hot room, you'll notice the thermal throttling sooner rather than later. Battery life follows the same story. With the screen at 144Hz and the RTX active, you're looking at roughly 3 to 4 hours of unplugged gaming, which is fine for a quick session but not ideal for long trips. So who should actually click Add to Cart? If you're a student or a professional who needs a single machine for both work and 1080p competitive gaming, the GF63 offers a compelling mix of performance, storage, and memory without demanding a huge budget. It shines for people who value a high refresh display for shooters, want to switch between a game and a video call without a hiccup, and appreciate the ability to store a sizable library of games and media locally. It's also a decent stepping stone for those who plan to upgrade to a desktop later. You get a taste of RTX features now and can keep the laptop for portable tasks while the desktop handles the heavy lifting. Conversely, if you're chasing ray-traced visuals, want to game at 1440p or 4K, or need a laptop that can run for an entire workday on battery, you'll likely feel the constraints. The thin body limits future upgrades. You can't add a second SSD or swap out the GPU, and the RAM is soldered, so the 32GB you get now is the maximum. Users who prioritize silence over raw cooling power might also be put off by the fan noise that ramps up during intensive sessions. In short, the GF63 is a solid, well-rounded performer for its class, but it isn't a replacement for a high-end desktop or a premium laptop with a more powerful graphics chip. To sum up, the MSI GF63 Thin gives you a genuinely usable gaming experience at 1080p with enough RAM and storage to keep both work and play flowing smoothly, while still fitting into a backpack. Its strengths lie in the refresh rate display, the generous memory, and the fast SSD, all of which translate into real-world convenience. Its weaknesses: thermal limits, modest GPU power, and short unplugged gaming sessions are the trade-offs you expect from a thin laptop in this price range. If those trade-offs line up with what you need, the link is in the description.